Good evening. I call to order the June 11, 2008 meeting of the Los Gatos Planning Commission. My name is Michael Kane. I serve as chair of the Planning Commission. My fellow commissioners and I welcome you and thank you for attending tonight's meeting. The Planning Commission is composed of citizens appointed by the Town Council to review planning and development issues and to make decisions and recommendations to the Town Council regarding land use for both commercial and residential matters. As we hear discussion tonight, we will consider each proposal and evaluate how it supports and enhances the quality of life that we enjoy in Los Gatos. Ours is a quasi-judicial procedure guided by the town's general plan, zoning codes, and other standards and guidelines that have been adopted by Town Council. Again, thank you for attending tonight's meeting. We appreciate public testimony and look forward to yours as we evaluate each application. As a general reminder, please silence your cell phones. Mr. Suda, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Sayoc?
Here.
Commissioner Machichi?
Here.
Commissioner Talasfor?
Here.
Commissioner Bourgeois?
Here.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Here.
And Chair Kane.
Here. Commissioner Machichi, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, undivided, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It was good, Phil.
Now, do we have discussion, or can I have a motion to approve the minutes of our May 28 meeting? Commissioner Talasfor.
Hi, I'm not going to make that motion, but I will say I wasn't here for that last meeting, but I did review the tapes on the web, and so I feel like I can vote on the.
Not only can you vote, but you could make the motion.
Okay, then I vote to, I vote to approve.
We have a
the-
second. Commissioner Machichi. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Written communications. We have a desk item for item 3, which we will get to later on. Requested continuances. Tonight we have one requested continuance, and it is under continued public hearings. It's item 1 on our agenda, 106 Central Avenue. This is architecture and site application S0672, requesting approval to demolish a single-family residence and to construct a new single-family residence with a reduced front yard setback on property zoned R120. This is APN 52932-023. Do I have a discussion, or may I have a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those, is there a discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. We turn to subcommittee reports. In addition to our Planning Commission responsibilities, each of us serves on 1 or 2 subcommittees. Vice Chair O'Donnell, would you report on the General Plan Committee, which met earlier today?
We had a meeting this evening starting the housing element update, which will take us until next summer. We've scheduled 5 meetings on that point. We're also going to be joined by an advisory committee when it's fully formed. The matter of the housing element is of major importance. It is a state-mandated element that must be reviewed and approved by the state. And all of the commissioners will receive some further written information on the element because it's rather complex, and the goal is particularly complex. And I won't take this time now to say any more about it, other than to say that it's a very important element that we'll be working on for the rest for another year.
We're in the process of reviewing, updating the general plan, and part of that is the housing element. So we're working on both of those revisions at the same time. We have a new subcommittee, the Sustainability Committee, which recently had its first meeting. Commissioner Sayoc, can you give us a report on that first meeting?
I'd be happy to. As Chair Kane has said, the Sustainability Committee met for the first time last Tuesday on June 3. And the Sustainability Committee is comprised of representatives across the board. We have community services represented, as do parks, parking and transportation, as well as 2 members from Planning Commissioner. Commissioner Bourgeois and I are both representatives for the Sustainability Committee. Now, the committee was primarily created to work with the town to review the greenhouse gas reduction plan that we will be pushing forward later this year. But after a lot of discussion last week, there was consensus among the group there that cross-collaboration between the commissions was also needed and valued and would be one of the goals that we would be working towards. So, on that note, I would like to turn it over to Commissioner Bourgeois with some items for us as a commission to review.
Thank you, Commissioner Sayak. Yeah, it was a very productive meeting, and one of the goals of that subcommittee, which is an ad hoc committee, which is set to sunset, I believe, later this year, is to ensure that the represented commissioners from all the commissions understand what the goals, sustainability goals of the town are. We can communicate those goals to our commissions and make sure that our commission is doing our part to achieve these goals and provide feedback so that there's a constant feedback loop on that. And so to that end, we have a task as a commission, Planning Commission. The next meeting of the Sustainability Committee is going to be in August, and it was requested that as a commission, we provide our sustainability goals and how we think planning plays a part in the town's goals. So if it's possible, I would like to agendize that item for I guess we only have 2 more meetings prior to August, so I don't know if that'll fit into our schedule, but I'll throw that out there. I don't know, we need, 2 or 3 to put something on the agenda?
Yeah, at this point, you would need a consensus of 4. So unless there's any objection.
Let's see if we have a consensus to agendize the matter. I'm in favor. It's unanimous. Our June 25th schedule, that our next meeting is, I want to talk to you about that later. That's jam-packed. So that takes us to August what?
That would take you to the first meeting in July, which is July 9th. I think what we'll do is we'll look at both of those agendas. Both of them are fairly full, so we'll want to take a look at those carefully, find out which, there's a few items in flux on each agenda, so we'll need to internally look at that and find out which one has ample time.
If I may, a date certain wasn't set for the Sustainability Committee, so maybe the first meeting in August may still work as well.
Okay.
Maybe coordinate with Ms. Faulkner.
Okay, I can talk to Regina.
Good, thank you. As is your right, under verbal communications, any member of the audience may speak up to 3 minutes on any subject not on tonight's agenda. If you intend to speak, please fill out a speaker card located on the seat back in front of you so that we have a record of our speakers, and turn that card into a staff member on your right. When you speak at the podium, state your name and address for the record, and understand that state law prohibits the Commission from taking any action or discussing any topic that may be presented during verbal communications. And presently I have 1 speaker card. Citizen Ray.
Yes, indeed. Nice to see you all, except Mr. Machichi. Mr. Machichi, where's your tie? Where's your coat? Man, you stand out as a renegade, almost an outlaw. Work on it. Think about it, Machichi. Give it a shot. You're so far removed from community values, I can't believe it. Went up to Reservoir Road again to get a little review of what I've talked to you about before. And it is still as ugly as ever. Los Gatos ugly. All because of 4 members of this committee that voted in favor of that situation up there. That is, I'm talking about Lot 2. I got the plans out for Lot 2. It's called the Hoe House. You go up and look at it now, and you see the house that's being built with the lumber all stained blue. I've never seen that before. I guess it means something, okay? But you can identify the Hoe House by the blue building going up. Again, another monster home. All chock-a-block, one on top of the other, except for Lot 3. Lot 3 was done as per the Hillside Design Guidelines. A very lovely home. But it's being swallowed by its neighbors, so grossly oversized, homes on steroids. It is unbelievable. And here was this beautiful, natural bowl waiting for some sensitive development. And what did it get? You got the treatment from the process. Ugly. Los Gatos ugly. Speaking of another ugly matter, the matter of the members of the town council, 4 members, deciding to sell off our heritage, our Oak Meadow Park, 13 acres, that was beautifully set up by the county's estimation with 8.5 acres for a sports complex, okay, or whatever. 4 members of the town council, fooled, in my opinion, have decided to trash this wonderful out-of-the-blue heritage and accept an offer of $6 million. A mere pittance to duplicate that land anywhere else in Los Gatos. The Yuki property would be about $4 million an acre. So 8.5 buildable acres in the Yuki property is $34 million. Fools on the town council have given away our amazing heritage that came to us out of the blue for the kids of the community.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Ugly, Los Gatos ugly.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be back.
We move to the consent calendar, and we have no items on consent tonight. Continued public hearings, we had one, but we continued it. So we move to new public hearings. But I have a question first. Commissioner Michichi, is it not true that you arrived to this meeting 1 minute late tonight because you came straight from the airport?
I left my tie there.
I thought so. We have 2 continued public hearings, the first of which is item 2 on tonight's agenda, 326 North Santa Cruz Avenue. This is conditional use permit U08004, requesting approval of a conditional use permit to operate a retail wine shop with wine tasting on property zone C2. This is APN 529-04039. The property owner is Scott Little Village Properties. The applicant is Surya and Rahul Ravulapati. Mr. Suda, do we have a staff report?
Yes, we do, by Ms. Savage.
Ms. Savage?
Good evening, Commissioners. The project site is located on the east side of North Santa Cruz Avenue, approximately 245 feet south of Los Gatos Saratoga Road, at 326 North Santa Cruz Avenue. The surrounding properties are commercial. The applicant is proposing to operate Hard Rock Wine Store, a retail wine store with wine tasting. The store would operate in an existing 850 square foot retail space previously occupied by a retail clothing store. The property is zoned as Central Business District, or C2, where retail isn't allowed use. However, the service of alcohol beverages requires a conditional use permit per the town's alcohol beverage policy. The applicant proposes wine to be served as 1 ounce pours with a limit of 4 pours per customer. No seating is proposed as a part of the application. The applicant proposes to offer pre-made, pre-packaged snacks with wine tasting. The applicant does not propose to operate after 10 p.m. Therefore, the findings required by the town's alcohol beverage policy are not required. The Hard Rock Wine Store will operate under 2 licenses from the Department of Alcohol Beverage Control, a Type 20 license, which is for off-sale beer and wine, and a Type 42 license, which is for on-sale beer and wine. There is a moratorium on Type 20 licenses in the town of Los Gatos. However, the Department of Alcohol Beverage Control may issue a Type 20 license under certain conditions. One of these conditions is that the town of Los Gatos must determine that public convenience or necessity would be served by the issuance of the Type 20 license. A Type 42 license does not limit the quantity of wine served to a customer. However, wine tasting as conditioned will consist of 1 ounce pours only, which is consistent with the applicant's proposal. Staff recommends that wine tasting occur only during approved hours of operation. The applicant proposes to operate 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. The applicant proposes to conduct wine tasting presentations, which will consist of explanations of the selected wine, including the history and characteristics, the production process, and the harvesting process. Staff recommends that special events be limited to wine tasting presentations during approved hours of operation, and that alcohol service during the presentations be limited to wine tasting. The project is located within the Parking Assessment District and complies with parking requirements. Staff finds that the proposed conditional use permit is consistent with the town's alcohol beverage policy due to the following. The proposed alcohol service is for wine tasting and not for full alcohol service. The proposed use does not include full alcohol service in the form of a standalone bar or a restaurant with a separate bar. The use does not include any entertainment, and alcohol service is not proposed after 10 p.m. The town's alcohol beverage policy requires that the Planning Commission review the application and provide a recommendation to Town Council, who will be the final hearing body. This concludes staff presentation. Staff is available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Savage. Commissioners, questions for staff? Commissioner Sayoc.
Thank you, Ms. Savage, for your presentation. Could you just explain further the moratorium on Type 20 licenses, who issued it and why?
The moratorium is issued by ABC, or Alcohol Beverage Control, and the moratorium is in the town of Los Gatos as well as other areas in the Santa Clara County area. It's in regards to an abundance of Type 20 licenses in that area, and specifically California Professional and Business Code does allow them to issue a Type 20 license in an area with a moratorium as long as we find it necessary and convenient.
Other questions? Good. Yes, follow up?
Actually, another question just occurred to me. When a moratorium has been issued, are there examples of a moratorium being lifted after ABC determines that the overabundance is no longer there?
Yes. Let me just clarify how ABC determines whether a moratorium is warranted. Excuse me. ABC has an administrative policy that states that if you have more than a certain number of Type 20 licenses per 1,000 population, then they will impose that moratorium. So it's based on a per capita ratio of Type 20 licenses. So as in instances where stores close and surrender their Type 20 licenses, if the number of licenses drops below that threshold, then they lift the moratorium. They will keep that in place so long as the number of Type 20 licenses exceeds that threshold.
Commissioner Bourgeois.
Does ABC give any guidance or definition of public convenience or necessity, or is that left up to the discretion of the local municipality?
It's left up to the discretion of the local municipality. I'll just note that public convenience is one of your findings for any conditional use permit.
Okay.
Commissioner, Mr. Suda, is there a definition or a precedence on convenience? So can you give me some guidance on what is a public convenience?
There's no formal definition of what public convenience is. In the past, the commission and council have really looked at the application holistically. Is this consistent with the town's general plan? Will it create impacts on surrounding areas, whether it be businesses or residential areas, things like that? And you've really applied the broader conditional use permit criteria to determine whether or not public convenience was met.
Thank you. Other questions? I'm going to open the public hearing shortly and call the applicant, who will have up to 5 minutes. After any other public members speak, then the applicant may come back for up to 3 minutes of rebuttal. If there are members of the public who wish to speak on this matter, please turn in a speaker card, and you will be able to speak after the applicant. You will have up to 3 minutes. I don't have a card from the applicant. Mr. Scott. You have up to 5 minutes, sir.
I don't think I need that much time. I want to thank you for your consideration in this. I grew up in Los Gatos. My family has owned the building where...
Please forgive me. Give us your name and...
I'm sorry. My name's John Scott. I am the owner of the building that is comprised by 4 locations: 324 North Santa Cruz, 326 North Santa Cruz, 343 Village Lane, and 345 Village Lane. As I said, I grew up in Los Gatos. My family has owned this building for over 50 years, or almost 50 years, I should say. And my desire is to find businesses as tenants that would enhance the little village area where we are located and the town of Los Gatos itself. Very sensitive to the makeup of the town of Los Gatos, and I believe that an upscale wine shop in the location that we have would be an immense asset. There's currently a very limited retail presence in this block of North Santa Cruz Avenue. And although the wine store is clearly a retail establishment, I'm hoping that it will become a destination location that will bring shoppers to this area of Los Gatos and assist the success of other merchants in the little village area and downtown Los Gatos in general. As you look at North Santa Cruz Avenue, you definitely see a change in the flow of traffic and population as far as shoppers go. And as you move down North Santa Cruz Avenue from Main Street going down toward Los Gatos Saratoga Boulevard, you will see that it lessens and lessens the farther you go down toward Los Gatos Saratoga Boulevard. So we have had several retail shops in there. A couple have been successful, and several have not been. And I think that the problem with that is foot traffic, and I think that it really needs to be a unique entity that is occupying that location, one that has a true draw for not only folks in Los Gatos, but for visitors to Los Gatos as well. In discussing the operation with the Ravulopattis, I believe that it's also their desire to work with and promote the local wine growers in the community. And hopefully there will be some left after the fire season. However, to be successful in the promotion of our local vintners, it's going to be essential that there's wine tasting. This is going to provide wine tasters who are unfamiliar with these wines the ability to sample the products, and this will greatly enhance the probability that they will purchase one of these fine local wines. The wine tasting concept, I think, will also add charm, ambiance, and a quality image that will not only greatly assist the Ravulopattis in their ability to be successful, but it will also enhance the town of Los Gatos. This concept has been a valuable asset to other communities. I have visited small wine retailers who offer tasting in the downtown business communities of Campbell, Saratoga, Los Altos, Auburn, Grass Valley, Nevada City. These establishments have enhanced the communities they serve. They are appreciated by other local merchants for the customer base that they provide. They are valued by local residents who can now find wonderful selection of wine within their local area. They're a visitor destination point, and they enhance both the character and the tax base for the towns that they serve. I personally am a wine enthusiast, and I find that the small wine shops that will operate with the expertise that the Ravulpatis bring forth, they are vintners themselves. They have a wine growing operation in the Livermore Pleasanton area, and they have some wonderful wines that have won awards in the state of California. I've also obviously traveled to the Napa area, and not just to taste and buy wines, but to kind of enjoy the experience that's there. And I think that bringing that experience of the wine country to downtown Los Gatos would be an asset to all concerned. And I just thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Let me see if there's some questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Telesfori.
Thank you for your presentation. So it's not your
It's my building,
building.
their business.
Business, okay. I like the idea of promoting local wineries in the area, and would you tell me what you consider local wineries that you would be promoting, and have you contacted any of them, or?
Well, I have not, and I can't speak to whether they have, but I know that it is we have discussed this, and I know it is their desire. Certainly, wineries in the Santa Cruz Mountains area, both the Santa Clara side and the Santa Cruz side. Any other vintner that would be local would be an asset, not only to them, but it would certainly be an asset for the Ravulpatis and what they're doing, because I want to make this a unique local feel establishment.
I feel you're giving us a general statement of intent, but the commissioner's question was more specific. Could the applicant help out by answering?
Commissioner, Chairman, I was going to ask, can we ask them to come up and?
Well, since it's been done.
Thank you.
Would you like me to sit down and have?
No, I'd like you to stay there and
Okay.
have the commissioner's question answered.
Can you answer that for them? What local wineries?
My name is Rahul Pati. So I'm the one going to start this business in Los Gatos. This is after extensive research in Los Gatos, I find that there is no good wine retail store. Maybe there's different retail stores, but no one has a wine tasting. So we want to do before, if somebody spend $100, $150, $200, they want to see the tasting. Is it worth it or not? So that's what we want to do, different business, and we want to offer 1 ounce pouring. So if they like, definitely they will buy the wine.
What local?
It's a local means, yeah, it's a Santa Cruz. There is around about 50 wineries around in Santa Cruz. And I noticed yesterday I got a call from some Jenkins. So they own the winery and they have a wine tasting also. But they sell their own wine. They make their own wine and they sell that one. So I'm going to carry some local wines, and beside that some Napa and unique wines. It's some wine boutiques, small wineries. They make really good wines. So we are paying attention to carry those wines to bring into this Los Gatos, and I think that's a really asset to the city. And Los Gatos city is a really upscale city and very nice people. I live in this Bay Area from the last 20 years. I know this Bay Area, it's really good, and we both are, my wife and we both are professionals. Actually, we were in software business.
Okay, so Thank you. And so what you told us, I believe, is that you have, you're focusing on the Santa Cruz Mountain wineries, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And have you made any contact with any of them at this point?
Not yet. I was not sure. Just still, I talked to a couple people, but once I get the license, then
We
I
want
can
to
move
see you
forward and
succeed in this business, so I was just wondering what, you've used as far as how you plan on making this a unique business for wine tasting.
I want to carry some quality wines from local growers,
I
winemakers.
understand that. Okay, thank you. That's fine.
Commissioner Machici.
Yeah, in the report, it stated that you're limited to 1 ounce pours, and they're limited to 4
Yes.
pours. How do you police that? How is that tracked?
We carry so many varieties, right? So I cannot afford to offer all the wines. So every week we offered 4 wines. There's a limit.
And everybody gets just one shot at it? Is that what you're saying, 1 ounce?
1
every
ounce,
shot above?
yes.
Okay.
Clarification on that?
Yes,
Did you
Commissioner.
mean you're going to only offer 4 wines every week for people to taste? and that's
Different
it?
wines every week.
And so if I came in and I wanted to try X, which wasn't on your offerings, I couldn't do that?
Suppose
Okay. All right, I just
you
wanted
can
to
do.
get it
It's,
clear.
as a
Okay.
customer demand, we'll do.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? In your, I think it's your wife, your partner's letter mentioned having snacks available. And
Pre-packed snacks.
is that for the enhancement of the customer, or why would you do that? To help to promote sales?
So, yeah, it's just for promotion. Yes, that's all. When you sip it, generally people they want to, taste, some crackers or cheese, something like that.
Okay. The letter mentioned that
It's a free. We are not going to charge for that one.
the letter mentioned that the supplier would be Costco. And I wouldn't tell you how to run your business because I don't. But you will have a restaurant next door. Perhaps you will have the Chamber of Commerce across the street who could help you with local caterers, 3 of whom are behind Mountain Charlie's.
No, we are not offering any sandwiches or anything. Just like cheese and crackers.
I just wondered why you were going to Costco. They're way over in
Maybe
Kansas or
no.
somewhere.
She mentioned that one. It doesn't mean. I want to help the small business people. I don't want.
Is there a thought to go to beyond wine tasting to more of a wine bar offering?
No, we are not offering any wine bar. It is not a wine bar.
Do you want to limit this enterprise specifically
Wine
to
tasting.
wine tasting?
Yes.
Thank you. Other questions, Commissioner? Commissioner Telesfori.
And that includes you're not thinking about selling wine accoutrements, openers?
Oh yeah. Accessories. Yes, we can.
Accessories,
Yes.
you will be
Some
doing that.
gift articles and
Okay.
wine related and
And just to continue along the lines of Commissioner Kane's question to you regarding the food, whoever wrote the letter said that there would be sandwiches served, so.
No. It's not.
So
a
that's
sand-
not the case.
No.
Mostly cheese, crackers.
Cheese, crackers,
Okay,
those
Thank you.
things. Yeah.
Commissioner Machichi.
Yeah, the drawing that came with the report, where is the wine going to be tasted in that drawing? Where the cash register is?
Yeah, there is a cash registered. Yes.
So the people are going to stand up at that?
Yeah. Here behind there is a display. All these racks.
Yeah, I can't see what you're doing. But no, let's put it up here.
To warm up.
Keep going.
I'm sure it's here.
Yeah.
So
This is a
the
counter.
cashier, and this is where the,
Counter, yeah.
and this is where they'll be serving around this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a one, right?
The
I just want to,
the horseshoe that you kind of see, do you have the diagram where you see the horseshoe? That's the location where,
so that's like a little bar
it looks
shelf
like a
or
little
something?
bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so the people can be standing there?
Yeah, yes,
Around
then-
that, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Commissioner Machici, are you satisfied? Oh, okay, I thought we were still working for the overhead. Why don't we try it again for the folks back home?
Around this,
This place is a back display, and this is a counter.
Mr. Scott, could you give the applicant the microphone, please?
certainly.
This is a wine.
Could the applicant use the microphone, please?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. All these wine racks display in the middle and all this against the wall. And this is also some glasses and some wines display here. And this is a counter. When the people come, they can stand and I'm other side the counter. My employees or myself sometimes. And these customers, they can stand here and they can taste the wine.
Thank you very much. You okay, Commissioner Machici? Answer your question?
Thank you.
Are there other
Just-
questions?
Just to go back to the one question you had about having local entities come in and with their products, as far as you were talking about some of the restaurants or
You
that-
must know we didn't hear that. I mean, oh, you're talking about the wines or the food?
No, you're talking about food?
Yeah.
I'm sure if the Planning Commission said that was a good idea, that would be something they'd consider, but I think at this point, we kind of felt that that was maybe the wrong direction to go.
I was referring to the letter that said sandwiches from
Okay,
Costco.
all right. Oh,
Referring back to the local wineries, I didn't hear that either. I heard a lot of general discussion, but there's no specifics to the claim that you made that there were specific local wineries.
Well, they are going to cater to local wineries. I mean, that is the plan. Obviously, I think they were kind of doing this thing in a progression, and kind of felt that we needed to make this first step. I think is my understanding in talking to them before they went farther in contacting the local wineries. But I'm sure that, I know they're going to do that, and I'm sure the local wineries would be very thrilled to be able to come down and be a part of wine presentations and expanding the base for their wines.
Will you be a managing presence? With a
Myself?
partner? Yeah, I mean,
No,
No,
all I am is
just curious.
Oh, no, we've had quite a few discussions, because obviously, it's important to me that they succeed. I mean, I do not like to see the location continually have turnover, and I think this is an ideal business for that part of Los Gatos.
Thank you, sir. Other questions? All right, thank you. Well, Commissioner O'Donnell.
After hearing the chair's question, I just want to be sure. I heard you to say that you will indeed be using local vintages, local wines. There seems to be some ambiguity in our understanding of that. Is it correct that your intention is to...
Yeah, we want to encourage it.
Let me just finish. To predominantly use local wines? Predominantly use local wines?
Yeah, I want to encourage them, and they can...
just wanted that on the record. Thank you.
Yes.
Other questions? Thank you very much. I have two speaker cards. Ms. Susan Lee. Come see us. Oh. Thank you. Tell us your name and address, please.
Hello, I'm Susan Lee. Address is 227 Almendra Avenue. So I'm a mother of 2 small children. I live on the street at the end of which the wine bar is scheduled to be opened. And I and some of the other parents on the block have some concerns. We're a little nervous because there are already some stores that specifically sell alcohol very close to the wine bar. Excuse me, the store around the street on Santa Cruz Avenue, where a large number of homeless people do hang out on a pretty regular basis, that also used to hang out at Pacific Wines before that was closed. So forgive me if I missed the facts on this because I came in a little bit late, but I'd be curious about the opening and closing times of the store because that would have some concerns for us, especially in terms of parking at night, because currently parking is not policed on our street, and even though it's not supposed to be allowed for people to park after 6:30, people frequently do and they aren't ticketed. So we're a little nervous about people going in with the idea of buying alcohol, parking on our street, coming back after having drunk alcohol. Another concern is that it is billed as being an upscale wine bar, but to be really frank, looking at the logo, looking at the name, it doesn't strike me as being an upscale place. Also, hearing you say that food's going to be brought in from Costco makes me a little concerned in terms of its being upscale. And there's also another wine bar already in Los Gatos. Cafe Rouge closed a couple of years ago because it wasn't able to make a go of it. And so I'm actually surprised that this would be considered to be a good business for that location. And that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Lee, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Savage, the hours of operation are to be 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. Is that right? Do we have questions for the speaker? Commissioner Bourgeois.
Thank you for coming down and for your input. I just want to be clear, I understand what locations you're concerned about. And so when you talk about the place that sells alcohol, that's the liquor store kind of behind the Chamber of Commerce? Is that
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And so with that and that location and Double D's right next door, and so you see this as still as a significant...
I see it as adding to something that I don't consider to be the greatest part of the neighborhood we live in.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Thank you, Ms. Lee. I have a speaker card from Dr. Greg Jenkins.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Greg Jenkins, 45 West Main Street, Los Gatos. I'm the winemaker and owner of Fleming Jenkins Vineyards and Winery and owner of the new tasting room on West Main Street. For background, we operate under the conditional use permit issued by the town of Los Gatos in 2006, and Fleming Jenkins is licensed by the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control under our Type 02 wine grower license. I've heard about the Hard Rock Wine Company since April of this year and been asked about it by many people in town, but I really know little about it until this evening. I reviewed the application file here at the Community Development Department in April and again last week, but didn't really learn much clarifying information. I am sympathetic to most of Mr. Scott's viewpoints, though, concerning what's good for this town and wanting to promote the economic vitality of the town. I did phone the applicant, Mr. Ravulapati, on Monday, introduced myself, and inquired about their plans and asked about their outreach to the community and wineries in advance of this hearing. I learned that they plan on opening a retail wine store with wine tasting, but they had not spoken with any of the local wineries about the Hard Rock Wine Company plans or about putting local wines on their shelves or asking local vintners to participate in the wine tastings on the premises. My internet search found that Hard Rock Wine Company is affiliated with Ryan Estate Vineyards on Tesla Road in Livermore, just down the street from Winty Winery. But it's not clear to me how these entities are related or exactly what Hard Rock Wine Company is as a business entity. I read that the applicants are Mr. and Mrs. Ravulapati and not Hard Rock Wine Company, so to me this is all very confusing. Is Hard Rock Wine Company part of the Hard Rock Hotel Casino chain? I don't know. What is the meaning of the company name and why did they choose it? Is there a subliminal meaning that we should know? Does it reference rock and roll? I'm curious how they chose Los Gatos to set up Hard Rock Wine Company and not in their hometown in the Pleasanton-Livermore area or in the Livermore Valley appellation where their winery is located. I'd like to know more about what their plans are. I think the Planning Commission has a difficult task of understanding this business since it involves the sale of alcohol, but I think it's important that the Commission does completely understand it. Certainly there's no shortages of businesses that sell wine in Los Gatos, and the list ranges all the way from drugstores, grocery stores, and convenience stores, to the liquor stores, and then to the locally owned French cellar in wineries including Testarossa Vineyards and us Fleming Jenkins Vineyards and Winery. Without a better sense of their intent, and since there's no known plans or no known established plans to sell wine produced. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Let's see if there's any questions. Commissioner Machici.
How were you going to finish up?
Pardon me?
What were you going to say?
A couple more points.
I'd like to hit those 2 points.
Okay. Let's see. Since there's no established plans to sell wines produced in the Santa Cruz Mountains, it's not clear to me how or why this business benefits the town when there's a moratorium on Type 20 ABC licenses. I offer no hard, fixed, or final opinion to the Commission on this tonight, though. As far as their plans for offering wine tastings within the shop, again, it'd be helpful to know a lot more about their plans and if they truly plan on involving local vintners. And it would have been helpful to hear from some of the local vintners that had been contacted or had planned to participate in their tastings. Thank you for the opportunity to address the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Other quick. Commissioner Machici, you have a follow-up?
You have wine tasting.
Yes, we do.
How do you have the same, I assume the same condition of 4 1-ounce shots maximum, is that
Well, I wouldn't call them shots, but yeah.
I was brought up
We operate a little bit differently because we're under the Type 02 wine grower license that allows us to have a tasting room as part of our California Alcoholic Beverage Control license.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we do in our tasting room on West Main Street. We offer.
So is there a limit to what one person can?
We offer a maximum of 4 tastings, yes.
And do you track that? Do you police that?
Oh, yes. Our staff is all trained. Our administration has gone to the lead training put on by the California ABC, so we're very careful about that. Try to be very careful.
Thank you.
Commissioner Telesfori.
So my question is, your hours of operation and also when you start pouring your wine during those hours of operation.
Our operations, I'd have to look at our conditional use permit to see exactly what it says, but we operate now from noon to 6 p.m., 6 days a week, Tuesday through Sunday. We can stay open a little bit later, only once a month for special events, which I noticed they can be open for special events every night.
Mm-hmm. And that's 12 to 6, so is that when you don't remember the CUP, and I don't know that we have that information in front of us, so could you open earlier if you wanted to? Do you know that?
I have the CUP. I can answer that probably.
I think it might be helpful for us to know some of, since this is, wine tasting, wine bars are new to us, it might be helpful for us to know hours of operation plus serving.
It's not a wine bar, it's wine tasting.
Wine tasting,
It's a wine bar, it'd be a totally
like
different
retail stores,
alcohol policy,
wine
prohibition,
tasting,
wine tasting.
Yes, wine
We
tasting.
have hours on wine tasting.
We don't have hours specifically on wine tasting, but we do have 3 examples of places that allow wine tasting, and I can state those hours for you if you'd like. The Fleming Jenkins, located at 45 West Main, their hours of operation are 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. for private events. Private events are limited to once a month between 11 and 10. The Los Gatos Roasting or Los Gatos Gourmet, located at 91, 101, and 109 West Main Street. Their hours of operation for the wine service bar are from 11 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's 7 days a week as well?
Yes. And then the last example is the French Cellar, located at 32 East Main. And their hours of operation for the wine tasting area and for retail are Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And do they have tastings, remind me?
A wine cellar does have tastings.
But not on a regular basis? Is that for a special event? Is that every day? Or
Yes.
during these hours?
It's permitted during the hours of operation.
Do we have other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Dr. Jenkins. And I will recall the applicant for 3 minutes of rebuttal. And I will need a speaker card.
Earlier he was saying that it's not a wine bar. I'm going to do only wine tasting. And why he want to oppose, our business is totally different and his business is totally different. And he got a O2 license, that is, earlier he said that only 6 days, but when you're reading that he's operating 7 days, that's what you're reading, right? 11 to 7 something. And how it is going to affect to your business, I don't understand. This is a totally different business. Once I got approval, I am going to contact to the local wineries without happening anything, I don't want to waste my time. And I called 2-3 people, but I didn't do anything. That's right. But without getting any license, why would I move forward and why I have to make something? So I was waiting for this license. Once I get my license, I'm going to run my business and I'm going to planning. And this Hard Rock name, if it is not looking good, actually one of my friend, this is nothing related to the Hard Rock restaurant, cafe or anything. Just this is a name, it's registered, but some people recommend we are not going to stick with that name also. We want to make some different name actually. Some people, they said this is a classic area, the name is not looking good. Then I said, okay, we are not going to keep that name. We are thinking to change the different name actually. So then by looking the name itself, you cannot make any judgment actually, and you cannot say anything. That's names, if I know that I am taking some public opinion, I am talking to some people here, they said that they are not happy with that, the way the name is looking. So I am rethinking that one, we are going to change that name. And this is not a wine bar actually, this is just purely wine tasting, carrying good wines with Napa and local wineries and everywhere. This is a wine store.
In being frank with you, Mr. Ravulapati, in researching the case and going through record staff, the proposal for the establishment was a wine bar, I think at one point, and then was wine tasting, and then was wine bar.
No. From the beginning I was talking to Jennifer. I explained her this is not at all a wine bar. This is just wine tasting. From the beginning, we never change our plans or anything.
You never?
No, I never. I don't want. I know that I'm in a business from the last 30 years. I know what's happening. Lot of my friends, they have the restaurants and they have the other businesses. In order to have the wine bar, they have to have a full restaurant. So I don't have a place. I'm not making any restaurant or anything. From the beginning, our plan was only wine tasting.
All right, thank you. Do we have questions for Commissioner Telesfori?
Okay, my question to you then, I'm going to ask you again. You said you wanted to wait. Can you hear me? Barely. Thank you. Let me get closer. You said you wanted to wait for to know if we were going to recommend that you receive the CUP for your wine tasting store and retail wine. So what I need to know is, in business normally, there is some pre-research analysis marketing. And so my question to you is, why would you move forward if you have not contacted the local wineries? And one more time, I'd like you to clarify for me and the commission what you mean by local wineries. I heard you mention Napa just a few minutes ago. And to me, I have an idea of what I think local wineries are. Can you one more time explain that? So can you answer those two questions?
Yeah, there is
Thank you.
around about 50 wineries in Santa Cruz. So those are the local wineries. And I didn't see any Las Gatos. This is not, Las Gatos is not a wine growing district. Basically, the reason I said the Napa means, there is only the districts wine growing, Santa Cruz, Napa, Livermore. So Livermore also that comes under local. It's not that far from.
Local, all right.
Yes.
Okay. So now the second part of the question is, why would you move forward if you have not contacted these local wineries?
No, I have a contact with some.
You do. You have.
Yeah, I know. I have a list of people. Everybody. I did a research. I got all the information. So once I got my license, I'm going to contact them and I'm going to talk to them. Everything I'm doing.
Are you confident that you will be able to supply your store with these local?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I want to encourage local growers. So that is a goal. That's why in my letter I mentioned that one.
Sir, I feel awkward about what I said to you a moment ago, that you may have initially talked about being a wine bar and may have gone back and forth on what the business was, and you said you had not done that. So I feel bad about saying what I said, but I do feel necessary to turn to staff to get a clarification on what my research taught me. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to staff, Mr. Souter, Ms. Savage. Am I wrong about believing that the proposal may have initially been a wine bar?
The initial conversation that I had with the applicant included the term wine bar. Additionally, the first floor plan they submitted in March did include the term wine bar.
And the application may have vacillated or fluctuated or changed as it's evolved through the department?
Between a wine bar and a wine retail shop, that is correct.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Donnell.
Let me answer that
No,
question.
you don't have a question before you. Wait for a question. You understand that one of the things we're required to make is a finding of, for example, this is a convenience, a public convenience. You understand that? You also understand that you've given us an answer which is basically approve this and I'll go out and make it go, which is very admirable. But for us to make a decision based on the convenience to the town of Los Gatos, that is to say our citizens, we can't wait for you to go out and decide what you're going to do, under what name you're going to do it, and what you're really going to sell. Now, I say that respectfully because I admire the fact that you want to do this, and I'm suggesting to you that I, for one, would find it much easier to approve something if I understood it. And so eventually we're going to close this public hearing, and that's why I'm saying this now, to give you an opportunity to respond. But I can tell you that there'll be three possibilities: yes, no, and continuance. And if it were a continuance, it would be to firm this up so that whatever you decide is fine. That's your business. But what we decide will depend upon the information and evidence before us, so we can make a determination that this would be a public convenience. I have not heard that. So do you have any response to that?
Okay. Can I show my drawings again? In the beginning, there was some misunderstandings, actually. So I can... No, there is no multiple application actually.
Fine. Did you hear my question, however? I'm not asking about any of that. Who are you? What are you? What are you going to do? And what is your limitation on what you're going to sell?
Okay, we are going to sell just all the wines, local wines, including local wines, and variety of wines. This is just wine tasting. From the beginning, we have the idea only wine tasting. There is no wine bar actually. So there was some misunderstanding in the beginning when I submitted the application. The drawings was showing in the middle, those are racks. Actually, they understand these are seatings. I said those are not seating. After that one, I resubmit actually the design. My architecture gave it to me. So those are clearly, I mentioned all the names. There is no seating. Everything I mentioned that one. Those are wine racks only. They are not seating. There is no seating, anything. I was just in the beginning, my architecture, they put some rounds. Those are showing like a seating. She questioned me actually, these are seating. So I asked them, can we have the seating means? Then she asked, okay, is this a wine bar? I said, no, this is not a wine bar. So after that one, I remodified, and my architecture, they give all this with including wine racks. I mentioned all wine racks, and there is no seating. So from the beginning, we don't have intention to start a wine bar actually.
Thank you, sir. Other questions? Commissioner Michichi.
Yeah. Regardless of how this comes up, would you consider reducing the hours of operation of the wine tasting to some of the ones I heard, like it's...
Yes, I can do 9 o'clock, up to 9 o'clock I can do that.
I'm thinking something even earlier than that.
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
No, I'm thinking something even earlier than that. I heard 6 p.m. from one. You're in a residential area that a neighbor has a concern about, and I would have a concern with that. I would have a concern of going beyond 6 o'clock.
This is a wine retail store. If it is a 6 o'clock, generally people come from work, late, 5, 6 o'clock, and there is no time to shop, actually. If it is.
It seems to be effective with one of the wineries we heard about earlier. They were only open until 6 with that. Is that correct? I'm not suggesting the wine store not be open. I'm suggesting the wine tasting be limited.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wine tasting, yeah, we can close, if you want to, okay, by 6 o'clock we can close the wine tasting. That's no problem.
Thank you.
Commissioner Michichi, I heard the report that 2 of the stores operated until, 3 of them operated until 7 p.m. And there was one instance of a 6 p.m. at the French Cellar.
Yeah, I'm just saying what I'd be uncomfortable with, because I heard a neighbor say this is a predominant residential area compared to the others.
Commissioner Telesfori.
And my question to you concerning the hours as well is, you said you were going to start serving tastings at 10, and the other wine tasting stores start at 11. Would you be willing to comply?
Obviously,
with that?
let me tell you, 10 o'clock the business open, but no customer show up for wine tasting. Even though if you go to any wine country, Napa, Lodi, or Livermore, or Santa Cruz, the people start coming by 1 o'clock. The business open, they open from 10 to...
Thank you. I understand that. I'm just asking if you would be in compliance.
I can
with
change
the other
instead
bars.
of 10, I can change 11 to
Okay.
6
All right.
o'clock,
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other questions? Seeing none, thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing. One sec. Is this, Commissioners, Mr. Suda, is this under the town's alcohol policy?
Yes, so this is a recommendation to the
Thank
town
you.
council.
Pursuant to the town's alcohol policy, this matter must be referred to town council with a recommendation to the planning commission. So let me turn to the commission for discussion and/or recommendation in this case. Commissioners, may I ask for a show of hands from those that were able to visit the site, and ask if there are any other disclosures, additional evidence that needs to be put in the record. Let us begin with Commissioner Bourgeois and move to his left.
Thank you, Chair Kane. I think my fellow commissioners asked a lot of great questions, and I think we still have more questions out there. I think, one, we're we're voting on a use permit. And the use, I don't think I heard a lot of disagreement that something of this use can go in this spot. It was all about the execution and the details. And I don't think we got very satisfactory answers on those details. My inclination at this point would be to continue it, to try and get a little bit better execution so we know the name of what we're approving and exactly how it's going to operate. So that's, I have some, if it does come to a motion, I do have some detailed comments. I'd like to maybe tweak some of the conditions as well. But that's
Thank you.
My thoughts.
Commissioner Telesfori.
Where do I start? Thank you. I would concur with a lot of what Commissioner Bourgeois said. And also for me, there has to be an exception to this moratorium that really benefits the town of Los Gatos. At this point, recommending that a CUP be approved that could go with the land in forevermore, when I'm not sure what we're approving with this business, makes me a little concerned. It makes me a lot concerned that it is close to residential, as was pointed out by a neighbor, and I think she was speaking for other parents in the neighborhood. It makes me take notice in a different way. As a business in that area, I mean, I could see it working if it, it's a small 850 square foot building. That itself is self-limiting into what can really happen. I think it could work. I just think we need to condition it well. I think we need to see more of a plan from the applicant. And so I would, that's what I say at this point. I couldn't support the CUP at this level right now.
Commissioner Machici.
Since I don't see any need to continue saying the same thing over and over again, I think I'll make a motion to continue this to a date certain with the following direction, okay? That one, the hours of wine tasting be limited to from 12 to 6. That when it does come back, that we are given a clear picture to convince us that it is to the convenience of Los Gatos, so that we can approve it, whatever that entails. I'll leave it up to them. And if somebody seconds it, I'd like to hear some of the nits that Commissioner Bourgeois.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Commissioner, 1 second, please. Commissioner Sayak, did you want to weigh in or pass over to Commissioner Bourgeois?
Actually, at this point, why don't I pass it over to Commissioner Bourgeois?
All right, Commissioner O'Donnell?
I do want to say something. I don't, personally, if we were to ask the applicant to go back to the drawing board and produce something for us which was clear, I would like to leave that to the applicant. We've had a real communication problem tonight, and I'm hoping that upon thinking about what's happening here tonight, it'll become clearer, because I've heard questions asked and answers to other questions answered. That makes it difficult. So for us to condition things tonight before we have a very complete application before us, I think might be premature. So I could not support, for example, setting a bunch of conditions tonight when I have what I consider to be, let me step back for a second. I'm not an expert in his business, and I'm assuming he is. So I don't want to tell him how to run his business, but I sure as heck want him to tell me how he's going to run his business. So I would like to continue this matter to give him an opportunity to come back to us with a very clear plan, all the questions that have been asked tonight. That's his business. Now, when he comes back to us, he'll either do it or he won't do it. And if he does it, but we still want it further conditioned, then I think that would be the time to do it.
Excuse me, do you feel that way about the hours, though? I don't see that being a...
I think it is a 360-degree problem. I don't think we take a slice out and put it to the side. So, yes, I would like to see a global solution.
I'm not in favor of taking that out, though. Yeah.
Certainly, staff is aware of any suggestions that we're making, and we could get to the same place with two different roads. But go ahead, Commissioner Bourgeois.
Well, then I'd like to phrase my comments in the form of just suggestions of what I would like to see in an application returning. And I'd like clarity on definition of local wine and what is meant by predominantly local wine. I mean, are we talking 50% of the inventory, 100% of the inventory? I'd like details on what local means and how much is predominantly. And I'd also like clarification on the food service. I think that's, pre-made, pre-packaged snacks doesn't scream, from Costco, doesn't scream high-quality Los Gatos tasting bar. So those would be a couple of my suggestions.
I'm hearing the motion, the suggestions, and I'm also hearing Commissioner O'Donnell. Are we getting into a box, Commissioner Machici? You want to go forward with this? We have a conditional motion?
I have no problem saying that when it does come back, it come back with that condition of 12 to 6.
All of
the
them.
others, I agree, should be just suggestions. It's up to his business.
All right. Let me check with Commissioner Sayoc. Commissioner Sayoc?
Actually, it sounds like I'm going to be the minority in this. I'm still stuck on the existing moratorium on Type 20 licenses. And, I completely empathize with your entrepreneurial spirit and where you'd like to go with this. But I haven't actually found anything in the record that suggests that there is a necessity or that it would ease public convenience to have a wine retail shop. I understand how you will make it unique. You will have the wine tasting and you will support local vintners. But nothing in what I've seen today gives me the findings that I will need to make that determination. And should this come back in another package, perhaps that would change. But based on what I see tonight in front of me, I would be inclined to just disapprove the application.
You'd not be supporting the motion as stated.
Correct.
Commissioner Telesfori?
What I was going to add was about the hours of operation. I don't really, you can do whatever you want with it. It's just that there seems to be a trend in our town for hours, and they all seem to be within, 1 or 2 hours of each other. And since we don't really have any clear ordinances or codes about how to operate these businesses because they're new, relatively, I would like that to be considered when it does come back. On the other hand, that exception to the moratorium, it would have to be very strong. I mean, I'd have to see something that comes back to me that I can fully make that. So what are we doing with the motion?
We're still
We're
discussing.
still talking about it.
Okay.
Thank you for discussing. Commissioner O'Donnell?
Just on the time thing, the only, a reason that I think it may be premature to deal with it, the time can apply to one of two things or both. We have the sale of wine, and we have the wine tasting.
Right.
Two different businesses, and perhaps I misunderstood, but I don't think people are going to get tipsy from buying a bottle of wine. Now, let me just finish. And therefore, you might want to have certain time limitations, and I think you probably will, on the wine tasting that do not necessarily apply to the sale of a bottle of wine.
Yeah,
so let me just finish.
That was the motion.
So, okay, could I finish?
Commissioner Machici, I'm quite taken aback.
He knows I never interrupt. But in any event, so could I understand then you're saying that is your motion? I guess I didn't, when you say, I think it was 11 to 6, is that for wine tasting?
Wine tasting, yeah.
I did not understand
I
you.
was specific.
All right, but then the hours of operation?
Hours of
in general?
operation are fine as far as overall sales.
Okay, thank you. I'd support the motion.
Commissioner Bourgeois?
I'd like to speak just briefly on the moratorium issue because it sounds like it's giving a couple commissioners problems. And, I asked the question up front of staff, and we have to make a finding to approve it anyway under our Section 292190 that it's either essential or desirable for public convenience or welfare. So I think there's no other guidance as to how to find it convenient apart from our own language, which we've been utilizing. So I'm applying the same standard here. So I don't see a difference necessarily in this CUP and others we've approved for those reasons. But in addition to that, I think there is an additional community benefit, and that is that part of North Santa Cruz, I think, could use some synergy from a unique different offering in that location. So I do think there is some potential synergy for the businesses in that corner, and for that reason, I don't have a problem with the moratorium issue.
I remember when Viva first came before us, and there was a well-intended applicant who had been doing business for a long, long time and knew what he was doing. We didn't, because that's not what we do. And he said, "Oh, trust me." And Commissioner O'Donnell practically went through the ceiling. So I call this the O'Donnell principle. You cannot say to us that we have that figured out, because we don't know whether or not you do. We need to learn from you that you do, because we don't know your business. Dr. Jenkins said he had staff that is trained in counting to 4. And when you've got a busy store, that's probably not easy to do, especially if you've had 4 shots, Commissioner Michichi. But I'm not hearing that from the applicant. I didn't hear training. I didn't hear system. I didn't hear the Viva test. Commissioner O'Donnell examined the applicant on that night and said, "Well, how are you going to serve that food?" And the man said, "Trust me." And he didn't get very far with Commissioner O'Donnell. Not going to get very far with me either. I need to know if there's a sense of a business plan here, so that the public is being served, so that the town is being served, and we're not just operating on good intentions, which pave the road to hell. So I'm going to support the motion to send this back and get clarity. And I'm concerned, and maybe unduly so, that staff knows everything I'm talking about. And so it may be that staff has tried to advise. If they haven't, they should. And if they have tried to advise, then their advice ought to be taken. I think we've all spoken on the matter. Shall I call the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We have 1 nay. The motion passes 5-1. This is not a motion. This is, what do we have, Mr. Suda? We have a recommendation or a motion to send it back?
This is a motion to continue this item. Now, you voted to continue the item, and we need to specify to what date.
To a date certain? Can staff determine what needs to be done? We need to do that now. Let us try and do that now.
So, I would suggest at this point the meeting of July 9th, which is our only meeting in July. That would give the applicant 1 month to develop the details, submit the information, and get it back to the commissioners.
It's going to be crowded, but this is probably going to do, him some damage, so the sooner we do it, the better, yes? All right, yes.
Okay.
Good. Mr. Korb, are there appeal rights?
No, there are no appeal rights. The application has been continued. The public hearing has been continued to July 9th. No further notice will be provided.
Thank you. Our second new public hearing is item 3 on tonight's agenda, 39 Peralta Avenue. This is architecture and site application S08036. Requesting, Commissioner Michichi.
Can I suggest we take a 5-minute break at this time?
It's an excellent idea, sir.
Yeah,
thank you. We'll take 5 and be right back. our second new public hearing is item 3 on tonight's agenda, 39 Peralta Avenue. This is architecture and site application S080036. It requests approval to exceed accessory structure lot coverage on a non-conforming lot on property zoned R18. This is APN 510-42037. Property owner is Dave Trippier and Claire Nipres. The applicant is Anderson and Sweeters. Mr. Suter, do we have a staff report?
Again by Ms. Savage.
Ms. Savage.
The project site is located between Pennsylvania and Hernandez Avenues at 39 Peralta Avenue. The project is zoned single-family residential, and the surrounding properties are residential. The subject property contains a single-family residence built in 1900 and a detached garage. The existing garage is located at the rear of 39 Peralta and is accessed by an alley. 11 other properties abut the alley. Some background regarding town zoning regulations. We have 2 coverage limitations for a single-family residential zoned parcel, not including the single-family downtown zone. The first one is lot area coverage. Lot area coverage is the maximum building coverage, including any accessory structure. In a single-family residential zone, this is limited to 40%. The property does not exceed lot area coverage, nor will the proposal cause the property to exceed lot area coverage. The second coverage limitation is accessory building coverage. Accessory structures cannot occupy more than 15% of the lot, exclusive of the setbacks. The subject property is 8,000 square feet. 15% of the lot size, exclusive of the setbacks, is 586 square feet. The detached garage is currently 626 square feet and exceeds accessory structure coverage by 40 square feet. The applicant proposes to add 80 square feet to the front of the garage and 15 square feet to the back left side of the garage. The garage would exceed accessory structure coverage by 135 square feet. The maximum garage floor area is 733 square feet, and the proposal would not exceed the maximum garage floor area. The applicant is requesting to exceed the coverage limitation for accessory structures. Per town code, if a parcel is non-conforming, an applicant may request a modification of the zoning requirements with an architecture and site application. The parcel is non-conforming because it lacks the required frontage of 60 feet. The architecture and site application is required to exceed the accessory structure coverage. Based on town and county records, the surrounding detached garages range in size from 216 square feet to 716 square feet. The properties range in size from 5,500 square feet to 16,000 square feet. The applicant submitted additional information on June 10th, yesterday. The information includes square footage for detached garages at 41 Peralta Avenue and 324 Pennsylvania Avenue. And those were given to the commissioners as a desk item. The structures are both 2 stories on 8,000 square foot lots. They are limited to 586 square feet of accessory structure coverage. Although both structures are over 1,000 square feet total, the footprints are approximately 500 square feet and 550 square feet, making neither structure exceed the accessory structure coverage. The applicant proposes a garage containing 721 square feet, resulting in an 18.4% accessory structure coverage. There are 2 other garages currently over coverage, one at 36 Peralta by 4.9%, and the other at 37 Peralta by 3.2%. The subject garage would be over accessory coverage by 3.4%. The project will not exceed maximum garage floor area, and there will remain 2 accessory structures over the accessory structure coverage. Required backup is provided. Staff recommends approval of the architecture and site application, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. This concludes staff presentation. Staff is available for any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff? Commissioner Telesfori.
You know what, I probably didn't hear you, but would you tell me what they're adding to the back of the garage which is closer to the house, right?
The front of the garage, which is at the back of the property, they are adding 80 square feet. The back of the garage, which is towards the house, is 15 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bourgeois.
Thank you, Ms. Savage. I have a question about 41 Peralta, because when you drive down that alley, that accessory structure really kind of looms over the alley, but it doesn't exceed, it's over 1,000 square feet, but because it's two-story, the footprint is actually 500, so it doesn't exceed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So an alternative, it would be okay for the applicant to have a two-story, 500 square foot, but that would not exceed the accessory structure.
Currently, accessory structures are limited to a height of 15 feet. So if the applicant did come through with an application for a second story, it would be difficult to get through.
That was my point. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Seeing none. I'm going to open the public hearing and will shortly call the applicant, who will have up to 5 minutes to speak. After any other members of the public get 3 minutes to speak. I don't see any other members of the public. Do we have, how many speaker cards do we have? Oh, we have 2. Goodness. All right. So if there are other members of the public who wish to speak on this matter after the applicant, please turn in a speaker card. You will each have up to 3 minutes to speak. And now I will call Mr. James. Are they both James? Say again, please. Soholt? Please, sir. He wants to go first. Mr. Treppier? Yes, sir. Come see us.
Well, thanks so much for spending the time. I think I have a real appreciation of what this council has to do in alternate hours. It was a pretty amazing process, I think, from myself, Dave Treppier, who is the owner of 39 Peralta, and my wife over here, Claire, who we really appreciate all the work you guys are doing. It's pretty impressive, that's for sure.
I'll approve your application.
All right.
Just let him talk, though.
Was that good enough?
Thank you very much.
And furthermore, we actually got to meet a lot of you at the site. So Mr. Bourgeois, we got to see, I know a lot of the engineers came out, and we appreciate you guys coming out and really putting the eyeballs on our garage. I know it's a limited thing, but again, we're kind of emotional about getting it done and getting the garage finished for ourselves and our family. So thank you for doing that as well. So I have 3 points, but I'm only going to make 2 because I think this will probably hopefully be quick for all of us. So the first question, of course, is the obvious one. Why are we trying to work on the garage? The garage is from 1950, or the accessory structure, as the application says. 1950 hasn't been worked on since 1950. The house was very similar, hadn't been worked on since about 1920s. I think Ms. Telesfori got to see our house as well, and get to see the big difference since the kitchen was done in 1920. We have 2 kids. We are really looking to make sure that the structure is safe. It needs some help for those that have come out and see the site. And so safety is probably number 1 for all of us to get the thing fixed, whatever you guys decide. Number 2, in terms of the safety, is we're really looking to get to finish the yard. If for those that have been out the house, get to see the big dirt ball out in the back, and we really want to get the yard finished, but of course we have to get the garage finished to get the yard finished, and so we're looking to get that done as well. So those are the 2 safety issues we really like to knock down and appreciate your help doing. Number 2 is we need more storage. I think Mr. Bourgeois has seen, I gave him the big pitch, I showed him the garage, the 2 cars. We're big bikers. In the back part of the garage, there's actually a ton of bikes, a tandem, 2 road bikes, a couple of mountain bikes, and so we're looking for a little bit more space for a workshop as well as the storage for our bicycles, so that's why we're looking to extend the garage. And the final part is the appearance of the garage. If you look at it, we worked very hard to get that house nice, definitely a lot of, I think my wife can tell you, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that house and making decisions and trying to get it right. And, we got this final push to try to get the garage done and, to make it look as nice as the house, to paint it, and really kind of for us just be like we're done. And so we want to get it to match the house. We want to make sure that it's not an eyesore to the neighborhood. We want to get that big pile of concrete outside of the back and really just finish this thing. So we like to get the appearance done. We think the aesthetics are the right pieces to that house. And for those, I hope you've seen the plans. Hopefully they look like they're fitting in the neighborhood as well. Finally, last point, I'm still green. And I see you have a little projector, which is brilliant. That is the first big structure that we're talking about at 49 Peralta. I like Mr. Bourgeois' statement. It's looming. It's very, very big versus the garage that we have. It's approximately 1,046 square feet, meaning that I think that our little garage will definitely fit into the neighborhood and match part of the other garages. That's the first big one. The second one is the 324 Pennsylvania. This is approximately 1,200 square feet. I think it's actually a bigger footprint. I don't know, Jennifer, did you go out and check it out? I'm sorry, I probably can't even talk to you. I don't even know the rules, so I apologize for that. My feeling is pretty close to the size of our garage as well, but it's a very big garage or access structure in the neighborhood. So I actually have all kinds of access things, but since Jennifer assured me that we didn't have any issues with backing up the cars with being 25 feet, we weren't going to go through that. So if that's it, if you guys have any questions for me, I'm certainly willing to jump in and answer anything I can.
Thank you very much. Questions? Commissioner Telesfori.
I'm sorry, I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
The first one is your utility room that
Yeah.
you're adding out of the back. It appears as open space. Can you describe that inside? Will it have a sink, a toilet,
No, there's nothing in there. It's basically where a lot of rats go to die right at the moment.
Okay, but I mean, will there be plans to put anything in there?
Oh, yeah, that's where all the bikes go.
No, I know. I meant as the infrastructure. There will not be a sink or a toilet. I'm just curious. Okay.
No, there's no water there.
I understand you were planning on working on your
Yeah.
bikes in that area.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's no water currently on the plans today.
Right. And so in the illustration I see for the garage door, is that the garage door you're proposing?
To the back?
Yeah, to the back. The reason I'm asking is
Yeah.
that I sit on, in my other job as a planning commissioner is to sit on another committee, and I sit on the Historic Preservation Committee.
Oh.
And we often, and you've done a lovely job in your home,
like
by
it?
the way. Yes, you did. Thank you. You've really added to
We would have passed
that
the committee?
street. Yes.
Good.
But anyway, that aside, I wanted to comment a little bit on the style, and we see a lot of garages that come before us. And this is a historic area, and you've done a wonderful job with your historic home. I'm just wondering if you might consider, when it comes time to choose a garage door, that you might use more of a carriage-style door. And I have some addresses. You could go look at the.
Yeah, for us, we're just trying to get through the committee. We actually have a picture. I'd show you what we'd love to have it look like, and it actually has a carriage-style door that opens, and I think it has to open like this because it's one piece.
Right. So if you went to 85 Ellenwood or 61 Ellenwood, you'll see two car garages there, and honestly,
Did you get that, Claire?
they look like, I think what you would like. Okay, that's my question.
Historical committee.
I have to represent, yes, I know. Even though this is not a historic home.
This is
I mean,
the Historic and Storm Door Aluminum
it's
Committee? Or
historic in its neighborhood.
you're selling doors?
Right to keep.
Do we have other questions for the applicant? Commissioner Machici.
You know, I read this a couple of times, and I assume you're knocking down the old garage and putting up a new one.
No, actually, we can't.
You can't do that.
Yes, this is part of the rules of the road, and so we have to fix it, which is of course going to be the bankrolls going out, and so we're going to knock down. If you look at the drawings, we have to knock down the back accessory structure, which is the bike housing spot, and the roof will be taken down as well. But you actually have to retain certain sides of the building that keep the original part of the building from 1950 intact. If you're willing to not say that, we're certainly willing to knock it down and start a new one.
I
Jim, what do you
understand.
think?
I understand. If you do, you have to put it in the middle of your yard.
Yes, thank you,
Comply
Chairman
with the
King.
setbacks. It's not a bad Miss Savage over here. It's the setbacks.
She's been
Other
great,
questions
actually,
for the
by the way.
applicant. Commissioner Sayoc.
Actually,
I don't have any questions. To me, it was pretty self-explanatory what was presented. I did do a site visit, and so I appreciate the condition of your home as it currently is, and I see your aggressiveness in trying to complete the project.
8 months.
So I have no questions, and I actually have no further concerns.
Full head of hair before I started.
I'm feeling real bad.
Chairman Kane, I love your hair. Can I swap with you? Sorry, being cheeky. It was late. It was such a good meeting early. I'm sure this is all being recorded.
I apologize.
Could you please call us
It's
to
getting
order?
late. We have no other questions. Mr. Soholt, did you want to add anything? All right, good. Then I'm going to close the public hearing. I have no other speaker cards, so you now have 3 minutes to rebut anything that was said.
Thank you for your help.
I'm going to close the public hearing and turn to commissioners for discussion or a motion. And we are going to begin with Commissioner Telesfori and move to her left.
So it's up to us if we're going to approve this application to exceed accessory structure lot coverage on a non-conforming lot. And I did visit the site, and it says that we can't allow this in the findings if it provides adequate space and lot coverage. And I'm thinking that we're off of this lot coverage by about 3% or whatever it was. So it's not like this big gigantic thing. To me, I think the important part about this this application isn't the size so much as it is the configuration on the lot in this case. And by that, I mean that I don't see this, the addition going from one edge of the property to the other. I don't see any bulk and mass being added to it that's going to loom over a yard or over an alleyway. I see it as compatible with the adjacent buildings, even adding the adjacent space, the additional space to the front of it. I see it as cleaning up a blighted type area that has been there. And so I think for those reasons, I would support this, especially if they would consider that carriage-like style garage door.
Given those
So I'd like to make a motion to...
Given those supportive remarks,
thank you.
would you... Oh, you...
Can I do that? I'm going to make a motion.
Because you convinced me to make one.
Okay, I know. Let me make the motion
Go ahead.
this time. I'd like to make the motion to approve architecture and site application S-08-036 for 39 Peralta Avenue. Applicant is Anderson and Sweeters. I can make the findings that are as required by Section 15301 of the State Environmental Guidelines. It's adopted by the town, and that this project is categorically exempt, and is required by the town residential development standards when considering applications for architecture and site approval, especially number 4, which is a consideration relating to site layout, the orientation and location of the buildings, I was impressed with, and the open spaces in relation to the physical characteristics of the site and the character of the neighborhood, the appearance and harmony of the buildings with adjacent development, and also especially number 6, considerations relating to exterior architectural design of buildings and structures, the effect of the height, width, shape, and exterior construction and design of buildings, et cetera, et cetera. And so for that, I will look for a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
Under what contract or tort would I find et cetera, et cetera? Is there discussion for the motion, commissioners? Commissioner Bourgeois?
I just feel like I need to state for the record that when I was doing my site visit on Sunday, I did run into Mr. Trippier, and he did show me the garage inside and out, so
What's it safe?
I did not feel safe, so.
You know, I failed to ask that question, Commissioner Bourgeois, and I want to go back and find my note on that.
I would like to add, the other reason I support this is that this will take up to 3 cars off of the street, because they'll be able to park.
If I wanted to mention that before.
No, but they'll be able to park on the alley. because there's some area back there.
We want to promote neighborhood harmony. Use your garage more often. Thank you. Commissioners, please show of hands for those who had an opportunity to visit the site, and if you have any information or disclosures, please make them. Thank you. Other discussion? I see none. I'm going to call the question. If we understand the motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Mr. Korb.
I was embarrassed to say that anyone dissatisfied with the decision of the Planning Commission may appeal the decision to the Town Council. The appeal must be filed within 10 days. It must be filed upstairs in the Clerk Department. There are fees for filing an appeal.
Thank you. We move on to continued other business, and seeing none, we move on to new other business. We look for a report from the Director of Community Development.
No report.
We go then to commission matters. Commissioner Bourgeois.
I was just curious if we could get an update from staff. I was just curious about Commissioner Rice's replacement and where we are in that process.
What I'll do is I'll ask that question to the town clerk, and
I happened to talk to Diane
you-
McNutt. 22 applicants were interviewed last night.
No, that was
for General Plan Advisory Committee.
Advisory Committee.
Oh, she
That
said it
wasn't-
was for the planning committee.
I think we had 3 applicants
She
for
didn't
Planning
realize
Commission.
it.
You will get back to us, Mr. Suda.
Mr. Korb, do you have an update?
I believe that council will be considering the Planning Commission appointments at its meeting on Monday, the Planning Commission appointment at its meeting on Monday. I have to look at the agenda, but I think that's on it.
So if they considered that on Monday, the new commissioner would sit in 2 weeks? Do you think?
I think that the commissioner can sit as soon as the person is selected, sworn in, and a meeting occurs.
Thank you. Commissioner Machici.
I would like to get some advice on, I had trouble with the ethics thing, sending it in as well. So I must have the same virus.
You've had
as
trouble
Tom.
with your ethics, Commissioner Machici?
I'm having trouble with my ethics this year.
It's a terrible thing.
I'll tell you how to do it.
Okay.
Did Jenny give you that information?
We have until June 30 to complete that training, commissioners. If you haven't done it, jump on it, and Commissioner Machici will get you assistance with that. With respect to the training, Mr. Suda, I think that training this year was pretty outstanding, pretty thought-provoking. And whether or not we have a new commissioner by June 30, I want to request staff to somehow preserve the text of the training, not so much as a requirement for the new commissioner, but rather as a valuable part of our new commissioner's training and orientation. And on that note, I will ask for the record Commissioner Sayoc to take the lead in mentoring and providing training and orientation for our new commissioner. Is that acceptable?
If you think that will be acceptable, I will take the responsibility.
I just tried to go with the nicest person we have up here. So, well, it was a close. Oh, gee. Okay.
Who's that?
Well, then you mentioned my name then.
It was a 6-way tie, and I had to. And we are still working on language to elect to change the date of the election for chair and vice chair, and we're still looking for training dates. Also in your packets, there is an initial study with an attached mitigated neg deck, and I think that's coming up for our 25th meeting, possibly. Now, so this is just your grandfather, Chairman Kane, talking, but the June 25th meeting is going to be big. So get a lot of rest and keep your weekend open for the cases when they come in your packet on Friday. I've got an advanced look, and it could be as many as 7 items. So we may need a free weekend and a restful Wednesday that we are here bright-eyed and bushy-tailed until Lord knows 2 a.m. I don't know.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
No.
All
Well,
right.
Steve's not here to get you out at 11:30.
Well,
I'm taking his place.
I would like us really to consider that, because I don't think anyone makes thoughtful
Nice people.
decisions after 11:30. I mean, I think that is way over the, either we start early or.
Well, that's a thought, Commissioner. Let's look into that possibility. Well, we better look into it right now.
You have to look into it
Commissioner
right
Studo, what can
now.
we do about that?
The
We'd have to reissue public notices.
notices have already gone out.
Okay, so,
You're right about the quality of the work, Commissioner Telesfori.
Just let me chime in. I think we're down to 5 items for that meeting.
Okay. But let us take care of ourselves, and it'll be a long night, and we'll be just, because pushing them off is just going to stack up those other meetings which are already, and we'll get Commissioner Machichi a banky.
We'll move it along.
Are there other items?
I just moved for adjournment.
There we go.
All in favor?
One Commissioner, during the summer, I would like to alleviate the issue of no ties. There's 2 people here that don't wear ties.
Well, you
I'd like
never
be the
needed
third.
to alleviate that issue. What? This meeting is adjourned.
Would you